Improving labour market flexibility is one of the key elements of the Lisbon strategy to make Europe more competitive. The political goals are clear, but how well equipped are European companies to meet these challenges? How can workplace social dialogue, working time and flexibility strategies, as well as human resource practices, help companies become more competitive, especially in the current economic climate? The European Company Survey is designed to provide answers to these questions.
Eurofound decided to carry a second European company survey because it thought the first one was very useful and because there is no such thing available at the European level. We are concerned with providing information for the social partners and the governments of Europe, and there is no survey available to them on this type of issue, flexibility and performance and social dialogue.
Working time flexibility is the most common type of flexibility in European companies. The European Company Survey shows that more than half, 56%, of all establishments with 10 or more employees in the EU 27 use some type of flexi-time arrangement.
Flexi-time arrangements are increasing in the European Union, but there are differences over countries. And in some countries you find more of the short-term ones where where workers can change the beginning and the ending time of the days. That you find a lot in the Nordic countries and in Ireland and in the UK. However, the working time accounts are more available in the Nordic countries, but also in Germany and Austria. And these kind of working time accounts could be beneficial for workers where they kind of could take up these times at particular times when they need more time for their private life.
The survey also mapped work practices considered to be important elements of contractual and functional flexibility in an organisation. About 2/3 of organisations surveyed indicated that they use some form of temporary work arrangement, like temporary agency workers, fixed-term contracts and freelancers. 3 out of 4 establishments indicated that the need for further training is periodically checked in a systematic way. However, training is not equally distributed among all workers.
What we found in the European Company Survey is quite interesting because what it shows is that people in temporary employment get their trainings checks less than people in permanent employment. So there is a kind of a dual treatment. You are in permanent employment, you can get access to training and maybe this will be paid by your company. You're in temporary employment, well, less of you will get access to training. And this will impact on how you can find another job in the future, how you are able to develop and move upwards in your career, and how ultimately you are going to be able to support your family and your life when you're older.
The European Company Survey also looked at the views and experiences of workplace social dialogue.
The focus of the survey was twofold, really. We wanted to look at a range of practices companies use to adapt to change and adapt to competitive pressures. We also wanted to look in detail at how workplace social dialogue works. First of all, a kind of mapping of the institutions which represent workers in European companies, and then to see how they work in practice.
The survey found that 6 out of 10 employees, 63% in Europe, are covered by a recognised institution of employee representation. The survey also showed that attitudes to workplace social dialogue are positive.
The survey showed that most managers are quite positive about social dialogue in the workplace. Over 70% said they found that it was a constructive instrument for them in terms of managing their relationship with the workforce.
The main results of the European Company Survey will be published in spring 2010. A number of more detailed reports will follow. These will include greater in-depth analysis.